Hey, and welcome to the summary of New World Season 10 developer update video about the Nighthaven Zone procedural dungeons, the new raid, and gear score up to 800. Let's go. First, about the zone itself, Nighthaven is going to be the biggest zone that we have yet seen. It's going to be dark, vertical, and very horror themed. It's going to have multi-layer castles, spider caves, and even an underworld. You will see up to 40 new creatures in this area, which are themed by the 3 NPC factions in this region: the werewolves, the vampires, and the Grand Carnival. In this area, you'll be able to interact with the environment a little bit more. You will be able to shoot down chandeliers, for example, torch spider webs, and use jump pads, to name the few. The area has lost wildlife and corrupted enemy types, and the raid is said to have only lost, so I would recommend getting the trophies in that same order that I mentioned: lost, wildlife, and corrupted. So let's talk about the raid real quick. It has 3 bosses with randomized puzzles, and at the end you can get some specialty raid rewards that include a hat, a spectral horse mount, and a mystery mount with 5% drop rate, and those items are going to be tradable. The first boss drops jewelry, second boss drops armor, and third boss drops weapons, just as it is in Gorgon. But here the enemies are lost type. And most importantly, this raid has no weekly lockout, meaning you can farm this raid forever and always get the raid drops. The second thing we're going to go over is the Catacombs, which are going to be the procedural dungeons. This can be played with 3 people at once, and it has a timer of 30 minutes, and what's cool about this, that it's dynamic. It's going to be different every run. The team here has to face 6 bosses, and after each one it's going to get harder and harder, with the last one being a hardcore difficulty. In this dungeon crawler you will have also access to aspects which can give certain benefits to your role, such as the paladin aspect, where your attacks will heal the teammates. Also, you will get some increasingly better rewards as you progress further, and you'll get some new currency called sterlings, and from second boss onwards you will get crowns as well. These probably will be then later on used to exchange for some certain gear or weapons. We'll see how it goes. Other than that, you'll be able to extract after each boss. Now let's talk about the Umbral System. Absolutely everything that is 700 or above gear score can be upgraded to 800. This means your old artifacts, things that had illegal perks, everything. In that sense, your old gear is not going to be worthless. How this works is that you're going to use the umbrals as you right-click the item and then pay the currency to upgrade. Currently stated weekly cap is going to be around 4,000 umbral shards, and that will get you 5 items to 800, 10 items to 790, or 15 items to 780 gear score. You will get umbrals from raids, catacombs, and PvP activities, and probably somewhere else as well. But what we know so far is that every raid clear means that at least 2 set items per boss will drop. That is also somewhat similar to the Gorgon as it is right now. Now another topic we need to talk about is the attributes and Hearty. The attributes will change. From what I've understood so far is that we will lose all attributes that came from our gear. We'll get new attribute points from new levels, and I think a little bit different attribute scaling in general. What we know so far is that all weapons will then scale with 2 attributes, which probably means that, let's say, Ice Gauntlet, which right now scales with only intelligence, scales with intelligence or dexterity, but with the same rate. That in turn means that you can have a lot of variety in the way you make your builds. Overall, having less attribute points means that we have less flexibility in being multi-class, so you can't be tank plus DPS in the sense that you could before. And now, in a traditional sense, you're being a little bit more confined to your actual role. The Hearty perk that people had on their rings that give a little bit extra stamina is now removed, and everybody gets 3 dodges as a baseline and 2 if you're in heavy loadout. But now let's talk about perk charms. This can be a little bit confusing. I'll try to make it as clear as possible with the visuals and everything. So items can have 4 sockets, and those are in 4 categories: the gem slot, the offensive perk slot, the defensive perk slot and the weapon ability slot. Depending on the activity you're going to be doing, you'll be able to get a different amount of sockets in the item drops. So open world activities or crafting would give you 1 to 3 sockets, and from M3 dungeons you'll be able to get 4 sockets. Inside of these sockets you'll be able to put charms, and those you can craft with materials plus chromatic seals. In Season 10 they will remove the buy limit of chromatic seals completely, and the price is reduced to 2,000 gold per chromatic seal. This is great because it means that gold's value will go up. It incentivizes a little bit more crafting, and the economy should become a little bit more healthier, as there will be a natural gold sink. From what I've gathered, the weapon ability slot is the one you can switch around, so if you have a great axe skill on your chest piece but you are opting in to use a sword instead, then you can take it out and put a sword skill perk charm inside it instead. I'm fairly certain that once you use the perk charm on your armor, then it becomes account bound. Otherwise there would be too many charms in the economy. But if you have crafted the charm or found it as a drop, then it will be still tradable. So what's going to be good in the beginning? Well, that kind of depends on your role. Since most of the good stuff comes from endgame PvE content, then the most affordable pre-best in slot item will be a 3 socket item, and 2 of the most valuable sockets for the endgame PvE content will be the gem slot and the defensive slot. Now let's also talk about the sets and infixes. We will be able to get new set items from Catacombs and PvP activities, and these set items can be combined to get different kinds of set effects at once, and any item can be in any set. So for example, let's say an item has the Enrage set effect that gives 2% outgoing damage and 1% incoming damage. Then when you would wear 3 of these pieces, you would do a lot more damage, but at the same time the incoming damage would be increased as well. Then let's say you are wearing an item from a different set that has the Powerful set effect, and that gives you 10% increase to Empower Duration. And from another set you have the Sharpshooter set effect, for example, and that gives you 2% increase to range damage. On top of that, we will also get infixes, which are super powerful perks on some specific item types, but you can't have all of the infixes you want on your armor, so you're probably limited to just 1 or 2. As you can already see, this results in incredibly large variety of builds you could do, so going after these set items is something that should be on everyone's to-do list. Although we don't yet know what the sets will be, one thing is certain, that these will be important pieces for any complete build. Now the final 3 short topics I will cover shortly: the new Heartrune, artifacts, and season pass. The new Heartrune will be Phantom Blades, which has a spinning blade effect, and it has some pretty neat effects. It was briefly introduced in the PvP only server a while back, the seasonal one, so it would be pretty cool to see it in some builds. For artifacts, the attribute conversion will override instead of adding up, and all of the perks from artifacts are converted to the charm system. The season pass will have 4 armor sets, which usually has been 1 to 2 only, and the coolest thing about the season pass will probably be the awesome fox mount at level 100, so definitely something to grind for. And that covers the most of it. I tried to keep it as short as I could, as the original video was 1.5 hours long, but I think I covered the essentials. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.